just jumping in here quickly to let you guys know that I have recently created a Facebook group for listeners of the Live, Train, Perform podcast. So this private forum is the place to connect with other podcast listeners and guests, as well as to interact with myself and other coaches who have provided content for the Coach's Corner episodes. So in this forum, you can ask questions, which I can then answer in the group, or I can use them for episodes for my Q&A sessions, post relevant articles, you can share memes. The goal is to create a network of like-minded people so that everyone can interact with each other. You guys, the listeners, the audience members, can interact with a network of professionals in the fitness industry that have provided good quality content for the podcast. To gain access to this private group, all you need to do is leave me a rating and review. What this does is allows me to bump up the ratings, draw bigger names, bigger guests to the podcast for your listening pleasure. Once you've left a rating and review, take a screenshot of that, send that through to my Instagram at coach_Kobes, Kobes. Once you've done that, go onto Facebook, type in Live, Train, Perform. That group will come up, request access, answer the 3 questions, and I will grant you access. I am in the process of building out my online business. One of the income streams is going to be from the Facebook forum. So I'm going to be allowing 50 people into that forum for free. After that, it will be paid access only. So get in early, be one of the OGs. Thanks, guys. Much appreciated. Yo, what is up, guys? Welcome back to the Live, Train, Perform podcast. I'm your host, Shaun Kober, and joining me again for, what's this, like the 4th time? Will Foden. How are you, bro?
Okay, awesome, man. Yeah, nice to catch up again, my brother. It's been a while.
Yeah, we said it's been a while, but we've just been chatting for 37 minutes offline, having a solid catch up. But yeah, I think
probably should have recorded that as well.
We probably should have, man. We had some really good conversations. Maybe we can touch on some of that stuff. We're just talking about like social media and the coaches, different people that we know in the industry that are doing stupid shit like fucking TikTok dances and things like that, trying to gain attention and all that type of stuff. So anyway, maybe next time we'll record that.
Yeah, we'll be careful who we mention in that, I think. But yeah, if you are doing TikTok videos and you're a coach, just to let you know, don't be a bellend. There you go. Done.
We're on to you.
Yeah,
you're going to gather the wrong type of attention and the wrong type of people. Yeah. Mate, for any new listeners, can you give them a quick description, quick bio of yourself?
Ooh, quick snapshot. Ex-rugby player, originally from the UK. Met Kobus pro rugby player. Yeah, I was working in UFIT in Singapore, in a CBD. So I was working with sort of CEOs, executives. I worked with a few athletes as well. One professional athlete there. Met Kobes at a course with the Muscle Nerds and just hit it off there, man. Got along with it and respected his ethos. Haven't had a chance to come to Tiger yet. I'm sure he'll smash me there. But I was there 5 years. Learned a lot, did a lot, and then because of COVID, me and my wife, she was working with me as well. We moved back to the UK, and we started the Stay Strong Collective, which is a coaching company based around high level performance and optimization. Which are building a community around those 2 sort of pillars of and value systems. Not just your normal sets, reps, and what gym to hit. It's more of a case. It's way more than that, elevating every part of your life. And we moved home. So I've been home for 4 months. It's been interesting moving fully online to start with. I mean, a lot of people are working from home during COVID, but I mean, from a business standpoint, obviously I've had to grow up quite quickly. I was doing it before, but I was doing it alongside one-on-one. So I had a lot of sort of leeway in relation to how I operated. Now it's a case of sort of switching gears. And then since then, yeah, we as I said, for the last 4 months, we've been servicing clients globally. We've got a bit of a training group when it comes down to strength and conditioning. So if you're combat athletes and rugby players mainly, and then as I said, this one-on-one coaching model, which is based around all assets of sort of optimization. So yeah, it's been an interesting couple of years.
Yeah, nice, man. Just for the audience as well, Will and I were just speaking about the different mediums, and this is something that I'm kind of working towards at the moment, is moving a little bit more online. I do have an online coaching platform, but it does take a lot of man hours, and I'm trying to remove myself from that process. And basically what I'm trying to do is build out a website that has training programs, nutrition ebooks, mindset ebooks, and things like that, so that, you know, people can go straight onto my website. They see my Instagram. They go, as you know, Will said before, you know, I posted something where I was doing walking lunges with kettlebells hanging off bands, which adds some instability, blah, blah, blah. Why am I doing this? All right, I'm doing it for this reason. Okay, athletes can benefit from this. General population clients can benefit from this. All right, let's give them a little bit more context on this YouTube video. They go to that YouTube video and then they see what a training program looks like, the type of people that I'm working with, why I'm doing these things. And I'm going to have a few more YouTube videos coming up over the next couple of weeks that I've been recording with some of my professional fighters. So I'm going to be giving people a little bit of a sneak peek into what I've been doing in fight camp with these pro fighters in One Championship, Bellator, and UFC. So keep an eye out for that stuff. But then people will be able to go onto my website and look at training programs, nutrition ebooks, etc., and be able to buy that, because something that I've found is that, you know, you're the same, Will. We're both very educational coaches, and we need to be like, we attract that type of person that want to go on a deep dive in, you know, everything health and fitness and human optimization, you know, bettering their life in every way possible. But in saying that, what I realized is that I'm missing out on servicing some people, those people who want to, you know, swim in the shallow waters, that don't want to dive too deep. So I need to get a product out for them so that they can roll through a program, a 10 to 12 week program, get some benefit from it and go, oh, okay, sweet. I can see that, you know, this training program is really fucking good. Maybe if I learned how to read my heart rate variability and then make adjustments to my training, make adjustments to my nutrition, my stress management, my mindfulness, my sleep, etc., maybe I can get more out of that program. So that's essentially what I'm building out now. But it sounds like what you're doing is really cool, man. And I've enjoyed watching your evolution of your training videos and all of your Instagram posts over the last couple of months.
No, thank you very much, man. It's been an interesting, similar to what you said, is I think what people get caught on in the industry is they only look to serve one specific demographic. Like you said, if someone's got loads of cash and you see all these mogul mentors banging on about high ticket sales and this kind of stuff. Most of the sort of joy of my job comes from people that don't have actually that much, who are looking to. I coach a boxer, and she'll know who she is, and I sponsor her because I know she's a student, but she really wants to train hard. So the point of entry for her is a bit different, but there's a lot of people like that, and especially with the kudos in the industry and the mind that you have, just savouring that for just the people that can afford your time is non-beneficial from an impact perspective. As you said, offering that blanket product, which to be honest, most people don't need when they feel they've got a lot of things sort of at 80%, I say, if they apply training principles and they apply nutritional principles at the right times, then those programs are very much beneficial, and it gives people that actually enjoy what they're doing, and they're actually getting something that's going to leverage progression rather than buying the big booty workout 3,000 that costs you £7.50 on Instagram, actually investing it from a coach who's thought about the layers of the program, how it's going to be integrated, how that meets the demand of the outcome. Suddenly you've hit both ends of the spectrum and it's something that and that's why I resonate with you so much. And what we put collective in our branding is I love being a geek and I love getting in the weeds and I really like working with people on a deep level. Apart from it being really time consuming and really energy consuming, I also know that the information that I have can be beneficial to a massive population. And I want to be able to build a community around, similar to what this podcast does, is everyone that listens to it is a like-minded individual. We're both open-minded. We've all got a growth mindset in relation to, always a white belt syndrome. But the point is that there's not like a line in the sand where, oh, sorry, mate, you can't be here. It's a case of, if you want to come and join the dark side, mate, I'll put my arm around you, but you're gonna blow your mind. In that situation, I think it's very important to have, especially from a business standpoint.
Yeah, that kind of ties into our previous conversation that we did have offline about, you know, people putting out certain posts on social media, trying to garner attention. And I mean, I kind of understand that they're trying to garner attention, but you know, to then, you know, push a product or whatever, but, you know, you're drawing the wrong type of attention from the wrong people.
100%, Matt. Proof's in the pudding. I'm a big, if you say you're going to do something, you do it. similar. I'll put it. The listeners will know a lot more about your story. It's like when you had Jan for his fight. Yes, you were putting bits of his training up, but you weren't there glorifying what you were doing. You were very focused, and you could see every single time it was about him, the people that he was working with, where you were, the intensity they're working at. It wasn't a selfie with him saying how good you were. It was like, man, we're training hard, and it came off, and that wasn't by mistake. That was literally the self-fulfilling prophecy in relation to you were there to work hard. And you were mentioning people, like you said, when you're working with someone of that caliber, you're going to get people asking you questions and can I come and watch, and can I come and help? Having the authenticity and the value system, like, fuck that, man, I'm not here to play games, I'm here to win. And that's something that is such a small part of our industry, is too many young coaches and too many people are focused about being famous rather than being fucking good. Because if you're fucking good, your proof and your results will show it. And then you charge more money, rather than you dancing around like a dickhead with your socks on your hands, talking to yourself like, "What are you doing, man?" You like, it's just no. Sorry, that's a specific person. Apologise. Can't. It's tainted my soul, boss.
Yeah, it's difficult, man, because it's I mean, that's the world that we live in. I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent here, but you know, it is a good conversation. It does carry on from what we're speaking about offline, and you know, it's a fine line. You need to find that balance, because you know, I can't just put out, you know, photos of me with Jan and not actually fucking put the hard yards in and do the training and focus and have a periodized plan that's going to get him results and allow him to peak at the right time and fucking deliver under the lights in front of a massive crowd, right? Like, if I'm having all those photos but I'm not delivering those results, it doesn't mean shit. But on the other side of the coin, like, if I'm delivering those results and I'm not showing anyone any of the work that's going into it, then, you know, I'm doing myself a disservice as well. So I totally understand it, man. And it is about finding that balance. And that's what this podcast is about. And this is kind of everything that I'm doing, man. Like, I'm building like, kind of like a media medium, where I'm going to have the podcast, which is going to be these long form conversations. But then I've got my YouTube channel, which is, you know, taking 10 to 15 minute sound bites of these conversations and having that on my YouTube channel so people can go for specific portions of the conversation. And then there's going to be, you know, 3 to 5 minute IGTV videos that talk about a specific training program or training principles or progressive overload or something like that. And then there's going to be the flashy fucking Instagram 1 minute reel or 30-second reel or something that's going to be attention grabbing. You know, so I'm kind of trying to cover all of the bases, but I'm also, for those listening as well, I'm also transcribing all of these podcast episodes so then I can start putting them together, rewording them, organizing them into ebooks. So all of these conversations that we've had around mental health and structuring your life and building these protocols and principles into your life and how to tweak them and adjust them to get the most out of them. Like, this is a fucking massive project, man, and this is what I'm working on over the next couple of months that I can have online. I mean, the end product is going to be essentially people will wake up in the morning, they'll take their blood pressure, their waking heart rate, their heart rate variability, and then they follow the bouncing ball. If your HRV is here, this is what I want you to do in terms of training. This is what I want you to do in terms of nutrition. This is what I want you to do in terms of stress management. This is what I want you to do in terms of nightly routine. This is what I want you to do for journaling, blah, 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 blah. If your HRV is here, then it's going to follow a different bouncing ball, and it's going to be a really fucking comprehensive program, bro, but it's going to take me 12 to 18 months to build that out. I'm not going to be able to build that out and have that online in a couple of months. So what I'm going to do is just build out a skeleton, build out a training program, build out, basic fundamentals of nutrition, mindset, habit formation, etc., and just have that as a skeleton online so people can get a taste of what I can provide and then continue adding value, continue adding more content as we, keep going through this process of talking to people like you. And that's the whole point of having guys on like you, right? Is like, I don't have all the fucking answers, but I know people in my network that is going to have a different eye. They're going to have a different perspective on different things that can then add tools to not only my toolbox, but, the people that are listening, add tools to their toolbox. I want to get great people on that, I can then start pushing people towards. So once I have my website up and running, I'm going to have some of your shit on there. I'm going to have some of Lizzie's stuff on there. Luke Lehman from Muscle Nerds, I've had him on a couple of times, and, that's where we met on his foundations course in Singapore, man. He's a great dude, and a lot of my principles have come from his philosophies, and I'm just tweaking and I'm building upon that. And all of the people that I've had on the podcast, man, I want to, start sharing your content. If you have something that's really fucking good and relevant, guess what? I'm linking that to a podcast episode, or I'm linking that to one of my articles that I've written, or whatever it might be. So then I can start connecting my listeners, my followers, my audience to different people that I trust in the industry, because they trust me. And if they trust me, they know that they're going to trust my recommendations.
No, I'm glad I'm part of the circle, man. I mean, yeah, that's one piece of the puzzle, which it does take a lot of time. But the fruits of your labor will come true when it's out there, and the product will actually be a working organism that's adaptive and moves and actually builds people. The product, it's the same with everything, man. People, we always want to rush. People want money now. People want results now. People want a business now. They want to be a millionaire now. They want to be on a beach earning X amount of cash with a laptop, all that shit right now. The fruits of, like, how much experience and how good is it going to be you learning all these things? Because like we just said before offline about we are going to really be coaching people 5 years behind us. You're then going to have another product, which is how to build that product. And suddenly your evolution as a coach becomes not just a coach for people, but a coach for athletes, but a coach for coaches. And then that seems to be the people that we look up into the industry have amalgamated all what you've just said. And they've built a monster because they put one foot in front of the other and didn't focus on, I'm just going to become rich. There's so many people that have left our industry, or we used to remember, and we haven't seen them in years. Is it smash and grab? They make a load of money. Now what are they? Either abusing themselves with too much with women or with men, abusing themselves with too much money, gear, drugs, alcohol. The difference between what you're going to build and others is it's just like flow state, man. This is just what you do. And it's going to take its time, but it'll be worth it in the end. And I think it's similar for what we're doing is everyone thinks that we always know everything that we're doing. I just know I know where I'm trying to get to, and I'm willing to open my head and meet as many people as possible to help me make that better. Not, I know everything. Because if you know everything, you're dead, man. It doesn't matter what it is.
It's a journey, man. That's where the lessons are, bro. In the journey. I don't know exactly 100%. Where I'm going to be in 5 years, but I've got a pretty good idea of where I want to be and what I want to be doing. But I'm always open to making those adjustments. Maybe, next year I get a fucking amazing opportunity that I just can't say no to. Who knows, man? I listened to a podcast the other day with the Mind Pump guys. I'm not sure if you know Mind Pump Media.
Yeah.
Really good podcast. They had a guy on PJF Performance 3 years ago who works with professional NBA players. And he was saying in the conversation, man, they were asking me questions like, and he told this story of, he goes, when I was younger, my dream job was to work with one of the NBA teams. And he goes, I got to a certain point in my business, in my life, where I got that job offer and I turned it down because where I was better than that dream job.
100%,
right? So,
boss.
He was creating his own opportunities, man. And that's exactly what I'm doing. That's exactly what you're doing, man. And it's a constant work in progress. And, we've got an understanding of not necessarily where we want to be. We've got an idea of where we want to be and what we want to do. And then we're focusing on the process. It's the steps that's going to take us in that direction. And, if we hit a crossroads at some stage and we go, you know what, do I go left here? Do I go right here? Let's weigh up the options. What's my best options? What are the pros? What are the cons? You know what? If I go left, then I'm saying yes to this, but I'm saying no to these things. If I go right, then I'm saying no to these things, but I'm saying yes to these things. All right, what's going to be most beneficial for me moving forward? I was moving in that direction, but now, I've grown. I've learned a little bit more. Maybe my value system's changed a little bit over the last 2 years. You know what? I'm going to take this road to the right rather than the one on the left.
100%, man. The biggest thing I think I've learned more from the things that I've got wrong than what I've got right. Like people see. It's funny how people will always look at you and they'll say that how well you've done, or it doesn't matter. You put it in any context, like they won't see the pure the scary grind that you go through, or in your own head, of, am I really going to be able to do this? Am I actually going to be able to get there? I don't actually understand this, but I've got to just say yes. The amount of times where I've been in situations where, especially coaching situations, where I've an example is I worked with Alex Silva in the One Championship. He was my first professional fighter I've ever worked with. I've worked with guys who fought in the SEA Games. I've fought with guys who fight internationally, amateur. This dude is you would know, your first ever MMA fighter who is fighting on television. You were there going, I know the principles, but this is actually for real. I'm actually going to do something that if he loses, if he gets knocked out, it's not your fault. But in your head, it is your fault. So then you say yes because the opportunity is amazing. But you do your damn best to figure it out, man, and you go and reach out. The amount of coaches I've reached out. I mean, I reached out to you asking you about for fighting questions before, because I've gone to somebody who I know who has got more experience in an area at a higher level. It's not an athlete level. This is an MMA professional level. I need to outsource or ask somebody a question who has been in the game a bit longer than me. Yes, he's better looking than me, but we all don't know that. And then it's a case of I learned that way. That will come back to help me later on. But point being is, I said yes because the opportunity was amazing. I had to figure it out, because the only way you're going to learn is by being in the fight and in the struggle. Not, there's too many of us sat there procrastinating on everybody else's bullshit. Like, we're watching everybody else, and we're the amount of people that spend too much fucking time on their phone, and they're just watching, and oh my god, you're doing so well, and oh man, he just made this X amount of money. I don't give a fuck how much money people make anymore. I'm making enough cash to protect me and my missus, and I'm going to help as many people as I can doing it. And I know what I value, and I know what I'm valued. So I know what my education's worth, and I know I've put so much money into my brain. That hence why it circumducts down to that position of we want to sort of fulfill and help those at the bottom who just need a little bit, but also know that you've got your higher tier. I can get this result. Suddenly, as a coach, you've elevated yourself, but you put yourself in an arena where you're always going to keep learning.
Let me ask you something. How much time have you invested on your education and your knowledge through strength and conditioning in the fitness industry? Not only time, but money as well, if you don't mind me asking.
Good. I mean, I've got a degree in strength and conditioning. I got a half a scholarship for. I got a master's in sports coaching, which again I got a scholarship for. But then I've spent close to nearly 75k, 80k on courses, going to places, hotels, mentorships. I was part of a mastermind for 18 months with a business mastermind, which was purely for gyms, but because of my PT business and what revenue I was bringing in, they put me on for that, because the guys at MPE were wicked. Sean is a legend. I'm currently working with, I paid a good bit of money for a mentor who's literally helping me for my onboarding systems and actually how to build an online platform that I can service people at a high standard and not lose all my time. I mean, Matt Peacock at We Are Optimized, legend. I fully recommend if people aren't organized, he's a good geezer. But yeah, I've spent close to 75k on courses, and that's still growing. Like, I try and put...
And many 10%. Years as well.
Oh, yeah. If this face is... I look 45. I'm not, I promise. I'm only 32. But I say that I think I say that every podcast I come on here, bruv. But yeah, I mean, I've been doing strength conditioning. I've been in a gym. I started working in a gym when I was 15. So I've done my PT qualifications, and I've all my education has been around fitness and health. So I did all my degrees, my BTECs, my masters. It's been, 17 years. So long time.
Yeah, bro. You know, the reason I asked that question, bro, is because a question that comes up for me quite often, like on my Instagram stories, is like, how do I transition from the job that I'm working in to then working with professional athletes? And I'm like, there's many, many different ways to walk that path. And the point that I'm making is that, like, as you said before, and we've spoken about this on a previous podcast, is like, you can do all the courses, you can invest all the time, energy, effort, money, over the years, reading all the books, going to the masterminds, listening to podcasts, doing the courses, fucking going to university, but then never actually train someone and be able to apply those tools and those principles, or apply methods that are going to work towards building those principles to give you a desired 100%. Outcome. And, this is it's a great, it's like, dude, to be honest, like you've probably spent more time and money on your strength and conditioning career than I have. The difference between you and I is I've been working with fighters, and, you know, that's a great point. It's like I was in a position where I was financially stable to be able to come to Thailand and work at Tiger for free. That's how I ended up working there on an intern contract before I got a full-time job. And I knew strength and conditioning, and I'd trained, you know, soldiers. I'd trained rugby teams that I'd worked with, hockey players, bodybuilders, etc. But it wasn't like I knew those principles, but I was in a position where I was like, can I apply these principles to these professional fighters? And I had to put myself in a position where I was training them for free, man. And like any fucking fighter that was willing to train with me, I was like, all right, let's go through this process. And then over the last 4.5 years, it's like build, tweak, refine, build, tweak, refine, build, tweak, refine. And then all of a sudden you're calling me and like, hey bro, I've got this fighter, blah, 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 blah. What do I do? And then I start, what did I do? I was turning the questions around on you.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, what do you think? Well, you asked me a question. Hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? What do you think about this? And I'm like, dude, you know the fucking answers. Now it's just about putting those principles in practice, right?
100%, man. And I mean, I think that you said that the main difference is I've gone generalist to then be a tiny bit more specialist, where you've gone specialist and now becoming more a generalist. And that's the difference between what a lot of people will not see is that you want to work at a professional level, you're making no cash for a long time until you get somebody. People are so short-sighted in relation to how much work goes into making a professional athlete and one that's going to win. Don't get it wrong. Yeah, there you've got like the 30% natural gifted talent that you're blessed with. But the application of the information that you have is way more critical at a professional level than a general population level. Is very, very generalist, very big. There's so many variables and there's a lot less time constraint and there's a lot less pressure to make sure you get that result. In your position, most people would crumble when someone like who's coming to you, and this could be worth $1 million contract. Kober, if I don't win, I don't get this money. Suddenly your work has gone out the window and the pressure on you is so much higher. Hence why you're so solid at your job in the relation to pressure is a privilege. Not many people can actually absorb that pressure and utilize it in a positive manner and have a calm, cool mindset, which, again, assuming only on assumption in your previous life being a sniper, being in war-torn situations, that's where you've built your sort of your backbone in relation to dealing with high pressure situations where not many people could come to Tiger and take the path that you've led and not dominate is the wrong word, but been as progressive because you haven't I'd say you haven't blinked. You haven't gone, oh shit. You've just gone, right, cool. I want to do this. I know I've got to suffer this end of the spectrum. Financially, I've got to take a hit. These 3 fighters have said they want me to coach them. Yeah, cool. I'm doing it. I mean, like you said, Jan has said to you, go to Russia, but he said, I couldn't pay you. Even though he's got loads of cash, you'd have gone. Purely because that's how much you value your job and you value how being good at your job is. And that's why suddenly the people forget like the time in the gym and the time under the bar where you have it is your own warfare in your head, because sometimes you go, fucking hell, I could just go and get a job doing X. I could go and get a job and I could be making whatever, 50k a year doing, I don't know, be a fireman, which is still a good job. But if that's not what you want to do and you want to be the top of your game in your field in coaching, you have to learn that being famous means absolutely fucking nothing unless you're good at your job. When you're good at your job, money will come, fame will come, opportunities will come. It doesn't come from because you've read 3 books, done 1 course, and that you haven't applied it to anybody, but you're posting about that you have. That's where you're going to get found out, and things will fall down for you for sure. Yeah,
man. Yeah, that's a rabbit hole that we could definitely dive into. But we've been talking for 27 minutes already. Fuck, well, it's 100%. Actually longer. We've been talking for, an hour and 5 minutes, realistically. Easy, 35 minutes offline. But dude, what I want to go into is, I actually, for the audience, there was a purpose for this conversation. I reached out to Will and I was like, hey man, it's been a while since... Yeah, it's been a while since we've caught up. Let's get on. Let's catch up. Reach out to some of your clients and, ask them some questions, ask what they want to know, ask what their questions are, their frequently asked questions, so that Will and I can workshop those questions and we can both, talk through these questions in real time and give people an understanding of, some of the thoughts that go through our heads and, play these things out so that people can, see what's happening and that things aren't black and white. And then there's many different roads to Rome, so to speak.
100%.
So what are some of those questions that you got, mate?
I think the big one would be good for the listeners to start off with is, especially because of January, this new me, new you, all that kind of rubbish, more to the point of actually defining what you want. Because I put this out to a group and I put it onto my Instagram, and a lot of people didn't know where to start. They didn't know what they actually wanted to achieve because they've most of the time, if someone says to you, what do you want to be? I want to be fit, lean, strong, fast, six-pack, shredded, rapid, I don't know, flexible, ninja, you've got all these things. Most people haven't got what are they going to be content with and what are they prepared to do? So when you put on the Instagram story the other day about your continuum in the relation to effort level, and if you're a 10, you're going to do this. If you're a 9, all those. I think one that could be good to start with is, how does someone find out what they truly want and what they're actually trying to get round? Because again, it could be a rabbit hole, but most people block themselves from doing that and not putting any structural system into figuring out a goal. They just literally just go like a shotgun and try and find something they want to grasp onto, and they're not fulfilled at the end.
So you're saying that people aren't specific with their goals and they're very general about it? Very general.
Okay. I want to get fit or whatever. I know it breaks you when someone says that, innit? But yeah. I want to get fitter. I want to get leaner.
Yeah, I mean, well, the first question that I'm going to ask, and maybe we can role play this. If I said to you, hey, what are your goals? And you said, I just want to get fitter. My first question is going to be, all right, what does fitness mean to you? What does I want to get fitter mean to you exactly? And what would you say?
To get fitter, me personally would be fitter. Fitter would be not just a physical thing, but it'd be a mental thing as well. So that's what, again, it'd be a case of, I want to have more energy, I want to be fitter, faster, stronger, leaner, and pain free. How do I get there? That would be the next thing.
Okay, and this is the thing. A lot of people focus on these outcomes, but they don't focus on the process. Okay, if I want to get fitter by the end of the year, I'm going to be, and we need to define that time frame as well and go, all right, if you want to be fitter by the end of the year, okay, what are your metrics that you're measuring that by?
Yeah.
Where are you right now? Okay, I'm fucking 110 kilos. I'm 35% body fat. I'm, fucking sleeping 6 hours a night. My blood pressure is, 142 over fucking 96. My waking heart rate's 67. My heart rate variability is fucking baselines at 47. All right, cool. We've got some metrics that we can work towards, right? But if you're not measuring that shit, all right, what are some other objective measurements or even subjective measurements that we can start using, we can start looking at? So people don't need to have these specific goals. They can be general, but if you do have a general goal, then you need to define what those general outcomes are that you're working towards. And it might be one thing of like, all right, I want to be fitter by the end of the year. Okay, what's the one metric that I'm going to be looking at that's going to measure that fitness? Because fitness might be, hey, you know what? Now I'm waking up and my blood pressure is back to normal, or my waking heart rate has been reduced, or my heart rate variability is now higher. That's one metric of better fitness. Another metric of better fitness is, if you're an endurance runner, I want to be able to run 10 kilometers, or I want to be able to run a half marathon in whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
I
think the biggest thing, point of inquiry about this is about asking for specifics. But specifics doesn't mean that you have to have specifics like, right, I want to get a 260k kilo deadlift because it's going to give me this. What it is it's a specific against what you're valuing right now to what you want to become. Because I think what people do is they put their goals are so broad and they're so big and they're so, like you mentioned, this dude, let's just say he's 30 kilos overweight. I want to lose 30 kilos. That's like climbing Everest. Like you looking at okay, cool, right? We're not going to do curious. What are we doing at the moment, and what's this doing to you? Where are you right now? Let's have a think about the short term. What could we affect right now to help you get to that next piece? And suddenly being specific with that.
I would even go back. I would even go back before that, because then my next question is going to be: all right, you're 30 kilos overweight now.
Why?
When was the last time you were at your ideal weight?
Yeah.
And they go, oh, it was, when I was 18 years old. All right, now the conversation is like, you know what? You hadn't finished developing then and blah, blah, blah. Your life was completely different. You didn't have all these fucking stresses, blah, blah. That's where I'm starting, man. And if it was like, if it was a 35-year-old dude and he goes, I was at my ideal body weight 3 years ago. All right, cool. Well, let's look at what's happened over the 3 years. What's going on in your life over the last 3 years? Oh, well, I got divorced. My ex-wife took the children. I lost half my shit. I fucking moved countries, blah, blah, blah. All right, well, now we can see that it's taken 3 years for you to, get to this point where you're at right now. Maybe let's look at 3 years for you to start reversing that. So I'm straight away managing those expectations.
That's what I was about to say is like the problem what people see and they don't see is that's literally that could be a true story of one of your clients, one of my clients.
Yeah.
But all we would have had a client that's taken that long to see change. The problem with our industry is instant gratification syndrome is I want it now. I want it yesterday. I want it this. And what people don't want to do is look at the harsh realities.
Yeah, but dude, this is our job. This is our fucking job 100%. As coaches, man, to point out those harsh realities. And I mean, here's the thing. This is why you and I are never going to be a fucking flash in the pan, and we're never going to make $1 million overnight, because we're going to tell people these hard truths. And the thing is, like, we're going to draw the right type of people that are actually going to come to us, and they're going to fucking listen, and they're going to get results, and sustainable results over fucking, a long period that is going to last for the rest of their life. It's not like they fucking do our 6 week to 6-pack abs
6 week juice cleanse again,
where they just fucking restrict themselves. And yeah, exactly, man. And then they end up back where they were again. Like that's a fucking revolving door, man, that just keeps spinning. Like it's a hamster wheel, and that's where people end up, right? And here's the thing, man. If anyone's listening to this who has asked Will this question, has found themselves in this situation, at some point you need to listen to a coach like us who's going to educate you on this fucking stuff and tell you the truth and say, hey, it took you 3 years to get to this point. Let's plan for 3 years to get back to your ideal fucking position, right? Things didn't just happen overnight. You click your fingers and now you're 30 kilos overweight. Okay, let's plan for 3 years to fucking start undoing these bad habits and move you back in the right direction again, because there's been habits that have come up in your life that are so fucking ingrained now that it's going to take time, psychological and behavioral change to move you back in the right direction. Because if you're not going to listen to us and you're switching off and you're going and fucking finding some influencer or someone who's going to, give you your 6-pack abs in 6 weeks or whatever, guess what? 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks after you've done that, you're looking for someone else because that thing is no longer working. Got you really good results, and then you fucking blew up again. And now your metabolism's fucked, and now you've put on even more weight, and now you're miserable, and your fucking stress levels are high, and now you're not waking up with boners anymore. Your testosterone's through the fucking floor. Like, how many times do you have to be on this hamster wheel and looking for the next shiny thing that doesn't fucking work before you actually come and have a conversation with someone like us who's going to tell you the hard truth and say, hey, look, this is going to take time. You need to invest in your own fucking life. You need to invest in your own health, and you need to trust the process. Don't worry about the outcome. Focus on the process. Let the process take care of the outcome.
100%. And I mean, people forget the amount of years you've been on this planet has ingrained most of the things that are in you from a physical standpoint, a biological standpoint, and something that you, as I said, from people will know that you've done NLP, and so have I. Like the simple mannerisms in which you put yourself in, and the frames that you put yourself in your own life, they will dictate physiology. That we can go down that weird rabbit hole that no one can really pronounce half the words, but mainly what this basically is that if you're framing your journey in a certain way for such a long period of time, you've done things to your body that are going to take time to unravel, rather than it be like you said, is cool, we'll lose weight, let's just lose carbs, yeah, done. Like, but hang on a minute, You've been using work as an abuse. You said you're an alcohol. You've been drinking too much alcohol. You've been using food as a crux for you because X, Y, and something. But it all comes from wanting to see your dark spaces, and I think that's the scariest thing for anybody who's just getting into fitness. Is we're not trying to alienate you in relation to the, oh my God, you've got so much going wrong, because there'll be certain things you're doing which are going right. What my big thing, or what I really enjoy coaching about, is showing somebody the light on what they're lacking, where they're missing, what they're actually the point, or where they're framing things in a different way, and letting them suddenly learn from that. Because just the minute you shine a light on a dark space in your life, you have the ability. You have two choices: I either figure it out or run away from it again. And the people that want to figure it out, they're the people that are going to stay in any journey a longer period of time and see the fruits of their labor, similar to like careers, similar to relationships or anything. Or you can shine a light on that dark space and they're like, nah, I don't want to see it. Those are the people who are going to be stuck in the hamster wheel, paying a fuckload of money to a load of weapons. And me and you, not that we haven't got time for them, but until they're going to be open, until they're going to put their hands in the air and say, look, I'm there. Teach me. That's when we're at the right point of actually making some real change.
Dude, I got a message the other day from one of my friends who's like, hey, one of my friends wants to maybe do some work with you if you're taking any online clients. She's tried everything in brackets. And I'm like, yeah, that's what most people say. They've tried everything. They've tried everything. I was like, have you tried the right things?
Yeah.
Clearly not. Because if you tried everything, you wouldn't be reaching out to me.
The amount of I'm sure you'll get it. You'll have clients that will send you infographics on whatever, keto, intermittent fasting, fucking. What's that weapon, Dr. Joel something or other, who's getting absolutely peppered. But I get sent all these weird exercises off him, and
Joel
again,
Seedman.
People are boss. Anybody on this podcast, please, if do not anything he does, switch it off. Don't do it. You're probably going to get hurt. Point being is we, instead of, as I said, the dark spaces that we're talking about in relation to the bigger picture, we're trying to find little contextual bits of information. Like I'll put somebody on a ketogenic based diet if they're highly insulin insensitive or they're epileptic. So a ketogenic isn't wrong. In that situation, it'd be right. But most people don't need to do the extreme, but that's what people do. Is suddenly right now the amount of people that be listening to this podcast. Right, I'm not eating carbohydrate. Done. It would be. I'm an ex. I used to be a morbidly obese. I'm fully appreciate. I tell anybody that I will. My first emotional decision whenever I feel like I need to lose weight is I need to drop carbohydrate instead of taking responsibility, tracking my food, evaluating my sleep, making sure that I'm get it back into a training plan. Blah blah blah. I'm a human as well. I'll put my hands up. Instead of using your emotional side of the brain, being clinical in relation to actually, no. Get some process, trust your process, and get some rhythm and momentum. Suddenly, doors will open for you that you'll think, hang on, how the fuck have I got here? That's what people don't see. People just see this, like you said, smash, grab, one-off, I'm going to do this and this will all be better. You'll wake up tomorrow and it'll still be the same problem. That's what will happen.
Yeah, that's a great point. That kind of reminded me of one of my very first podcast episodes. I talked about motivation direction. Two main types of motivation direction. There's away from motivation and there's towards motivation. And away from motivation is like you're walking along and there's dog shit there that you can smell and you fucking move far enough away from it and you're like, all right, I can't smell that anymore. Okay, that's where that motivation stops. Now you're far enough away from it. It's no longer affecting you. And it's the same thing. That's how most people make decisions in terms of, I want to, goal setting. I want to do X, Y, Z. Most of the time it's like, I want to lose weight. I want to get fitter. I want to blah, blah, blah. And it's like they're using away from motivation. They don't like where they're at right now and they're trying to make changes to get somewhere. And this is why... This is probably people listening to this that ask this question is probably going, oh, fuck, that's me. That's why they don't have specific goals, because they don't have that towards motivation where now they're looking for something, they're striving towards something in the future. Because when you get far enough away from something, using that away from motivation, right, now you've got no drive, now you've got no motivation, now you've got no inspiration to continue moving, right? You're no longer touching on that pain point. You're far enough away from that pain point, but there's no longer pain anymore. Right, but then 100%. that motivation can be really good to create change initially, but it's not good enough to be able to build momentum and maintain momentum moving forward. That's when you need to, when you're far enough away from something, you need to change that motivation direction towards motivation. All right, I'm far enough away from that weight. Now I'm feeling a little bit better about myself. I've lost a couple of kilos. My energy levels are a little bit better because I've been focusing on the process. I've been tracking my food. I've been getting a little bit more sleep. I've been getting to the gym consistently for 20 minutes every day. That's all it's fucking taken for the last 3 months. All right, cool. I'm far enough away from that pain point now. What can I do to keep me moving, build momentum so that I'm moving towards something? All right, what's the next goal that I need to set? This is the thing, man. Those fucking goals, it's a moving target, right? Most people just set a goal and it's like that's their goal for the whole year. And we talked about it earlier about, my progression over the next 5 years, the next 10 years, right? This is where I want to go, right? But then I move in that direction and then I get to a certain point. All right, where do I want to go now? Maybe I adjust the goalposts. All right, I'm going to move that target. Now I'm going to move in that direction. All right, I get to a crossroads. I'm going to move that target. I'm going to move in that direction. I think that's an important point. Is there anything you want to add to that?
Nah, man, I hit the nail on the head, man. Like you said, is everyone has a pain point, but to sustain motivation comes from growth. And everybody, if you look back at your life, you're a different person 5 years ago. You're a different person 5 years ago for all that. The evolution of who you're going to become is in everything, whether it comes down for your training. Like that'll actually lead on to my next question that I got about training as you get older. Like the evolution of everything that you're going to go through will always be dictated by curiosity and also motivation. And that's when it comes down to being open-minded or being closed-minded. But again, like you said, is that first piece is, yeah, cool. You can use getting away motivation as a precursor to get you started, but they will not be sustainable. And for you to have towards motivation suddenly opens many more doors for you that are long-term. You'll enjoy the journey more, and there'll be more stop-offs in the road where you'll see progress rather than just, running away from things, for sure.
That just reminded me, I was listening to a podcast earlier before we started this conversation. I think it was Ryan Holiday and was it James Clear from Atomic Habits? And something that James Clear said was, every action that you take on a daily basis is a vote towards the person that you want to become. I thought that was really powerful.
Very deep. Very true. Very true. Yeah, it literally is, isn't it?
Thought-provoking. I don't think we need to say too much on that.
I'm going to start running, boss. It's very, very true. I think my old man heard me saying when I was a kid, and he was like, if you looked at Lionel Messi, the amount of times people said that he would never make it, and he used to just say, I'm still going to be here. And it's just what we were saying about outlasting people. It's not a case of I'm trying to beat somebody. I'm just going to be in the room. I'm going to keep being here, and I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing.
Better than you were yesterday.
Trying to be better. Exactly. And suddenly you'll like we were saying about what it's like moving back to the UK. It's so weird that I lived in Singapore. 5 years gone. I left there very much a fledgling in business. I've come back and I've got huge aspirations to help and impact as many people as I can. But I'm not looking at myself suddenly becoming like Precision Nutrition or Gymshark or all these people that are worth billions. I'm working on the people that I've got right in front of me. Am I doing my best I can help them? Cool. Next. Rather than the other way around. 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool, man. What was your next question?
Next one was about training as you get older. Particular fella is heading into his 60s, still old meathead, loves to lift heavy weights, but obviously we both know that people start, an ex-rugby player, ex-squaddie. He asked me, how do you maintain the balance between pushing yourself in training and recovery? Or recovering from training?
Yeah, that's a great point. And you kind of touched on this earlier about, as you get older, you have these ingrained patterns. And if you have an injury, like you roll your ankle when you're 10 years old, if I do an assessment with someone, a brand new client, I get them walking down the gym with their shoes off, with their shirt off if they can, showing as much skin as possible so that I can see any imbalances throughout their body. Because if their arch collapses on their foot, then I see this internal rotation through the tibia, through the femur, then maybe the hips a little bit misaligned, maybe one shoulder's a little bit higher than the other, maybe the arms swinging across the body, etc., etc. Like, then I'm asking questions. Hey, what happened here? Did you ever have any injuries? And I've already gone through my pre-exercise questionnaire where they've listed their injuries, but most of the time people forget. Ever rolled your ankle? No. Did you grow up playing sports? You play soccer? Where are you from? From blah, blah, blah. All right, cool. Did you play basketball? Did you play volleyball? Grow up playing cricket or rugby or anything like that? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I played rugby when I was... All right, cool. Ever roll your ankle? Oh, yeah, probably would have, actually. Which one? Not remember. I think I rolled this one more. All right, I can see that in your fucking body, man, because your body's protecting it, and you still have that detoured recruitment pattern, which is then causing an effect right up through the body, through the rest of the chain. So, you know, and the older you get, the more injuries you pick up, and the more you start creating these detoured muscle unit recruitment patterns, or motor unit recruitment patterns, sorry. Right? So I think a big one for when we get older is focusing a lot more on not just rehabilitation, but prehabilitation. Instead of lifting really fucking heavy all the time, maybe you lift heavy once a week, and then you do some, you know, maybe some bodybuilding style work where it's a little bit less neurological and it's a little bit more metabolic. Get a little bit more of a metabolic adaptation. There's not so much load on the joints, on the muscles, on the nervous system, and it's a little bit more musculoskeletal adaptation rather than that nervous system adaptation. You know, people still want to lift heavy. I want to be fucking lifting heavy when I'm 60 years old, but I'm not going to be doing that 3, 4, 5 times a week. Maybe I just do that once a week. I get my fix, and then the rest of the time, I'm doing a little bit of bodybuilding style stuff where I'm not going super fucking heavy. I'm focusing on that mind-muscle connection work. And if my shoulders are rolling forward because, you know, I grew up doing jiu-jitsu, or I grew up boxing, and my scapula doesn't fucking move anymore, then guess what? I'm doing some activation work for that. I'm doing some mobility work for that. I'm loosening up certain muscles, probably my traps, my delts, my pecs, rolling my lats, getting my scapula to fucking move again, doing some activation work where I'm getting the right muscles firing at the right time in the right order to pull my joints back into better alignment. Because, you know, as we get older, we do start creating these recruitment pattern issues, which caused by muscular imbalances, dysfunction, that then pulls the joints into poor alignment. And if you keep loading those joints through heavy movements whilst it's in poor alignment, that's just going to fucking add up to, one, acute injuries, but also chronic injuries. And now you can't do that stuff anymore. So instead of just banging away and trying to do more, sometimes, you know, especially as you get older, you know, we need to prepare the body for those heavy lifting sessions. If you're going to lift heavy, maybe do it once or twice a week, but the rest of the days, it's all about preparation. You want to lift heavy, we're going to give you some of that, but you need to prepare your body for that. And the older you get, the more you need to spend on that preparation, rehabilitation, prehabilitation.
100%, man. The one I use I loved one of my clients is always use the body as analogy is you're a car. So obviously when you're 18 to 25, you're a sports car, for example. As we're getting to sort of the end ranges of age in relation to 50, 60, 70, 80, I always put these guys in the context of a vintage car. Now, a vintage Mustang has still got horsepower. A vintage Mustang has the ability, if you wanted to rip the shit out of it, it could definitely do it. Most of the time, you've got that thing cruising around, or you're polishing it in the garage. That's what it looks like for a body. Is there's a means and a purpose. When we're looking at when you're younger, everything from a cellular standpoint, everything you have better cellular integrity purely because you're young. Elasticity in muscles, like nerve patterns, etc. And like you said, we haven't got that time in the body in relation to injuries. Or even just training. We know that obviously that strength training is a double-edged sword. It makes you more rigid, but the better strength you have, the longer you'll live on the planet. So it's using a continuum of like we've discussed.
But it's only up to a certain point, though.
Yeah, for sure. Like you're not gonna. People need to. The problem with what people think is if when they've got a body who is at 50, 60, 70, and they're thinking they're 21 years old. That's where we need to start thinking about is we're not trying to take away or stop you from doing it or getting stronger. Because I'm the powerlifting, for example, you actually get stronger with age. Like you see most powerlifters are at like 30, 40 who are lifting their heaviest. Like it's treating you like that vintage car of we're not telling you you need to get on a stretcher and you're going to put to pasture, boss. What we're saying is there needs to be more thought process around what you're doing and why you're doing it and how you're doing it so you can recover from it. Because the whole point of all this is adaptation. We're always looking for you to be getting better. I think one thing a lot of people find in strength training is they make it an emotional resilience test. I have to pull this up because rather than it being like, actually, I'm chipping away at the marble here. I'm literally today. I know, like you said, this circumducts down to measuring and management. Like my HRV shit, I had a shit day at work. I was on the piss with my boss yesterday. You coming in the gym and busting out a 1RM deadlift, very, very unlikely it's going to end well for you. On the flip of it, you've come back from a holiday and you want to get in and get after it. You're rested, recovered, you're refueled. We've got green lights. Yeah, absolutely, crack on. But it's no understanding that principle of not doing too much. You just want that minimal effective dose rather than the emotional, right, because I was a meathead at 20, I'm still going to be that guy, you know?
Every single thing that you just said then can be weighed up with this sentence. Training should add to your day, not take away from it.
100%.
And if you hit a fucking heavy deadlift session and it cripples you for 3 days, then you've done too much. So I think you need to, going back to the analogy that you used before about the car, man, some people drive their car until it fucking falls apart and starts making noises and things like that. But if you've got a vintage car, man, like a nice fucking car, you don't want to do that. You want to take it in for a service. You want to take it to the right people to give it a tune up, to give it a fucking, get the upholstery cleaned, give it a polish, etc. You're doing that stuff before something happens. It's the same thing with training. You should be going to the gym, giving your body a fucking tune up every day so that one day, hey, you know what? On a Saturday, that's going to be my heavy strength day. Maybe I do 2 heavy strength days. Maybe one day is going to be lower body. Maybe I do that on a Tuesday, and then maybe a Friday, or maybe a Wednesday and a Saturday is going to be my lower body strength day. My upper body strength day is going to be a Saturday. Okay, and then the rest of the week is about giving your body a tune up, man. Putting a little bit of muscle on in the right areas. Going through a little bit of structural integrity work, a little bit of bodybuilding style activation, mind-muscle connection work, dropping the load right back, focusing on building, that connection in specific muscles and, allowing your body to rest, recover, and put on muscle and activation, connect to certain muscles in the right areas so that you can actually lift more. You can lift heavy on those days. But then knowing that, you're probably going to... you're going to hammer yourself on that strength day. So guess what? Maybe the Wednesday, you're going that... I mean, we've spoken about this before, undulating intensity, right? Maybe that Wednesday, you're getting after that. So maybe Monday is a moderate intensity session. Tuesday is going to be a light intensity session, right? Wednesday is going to be a heavy intensity session. Then maybe it's a light intensity, moderate intensity, back to a heavy intensity, and then a day off, as an example.
For sure.
And that's how I would structure it. I mean, obviously, I don't know the dude, but that's how I would run it, generally speaking.
Yeah, what we've done, he'll be happy for me to talk about him. He's very strong for a dude of his age. He's a hooker at rugby. He'll still play now. He's nearly 6. He's a savage. Anyway, what we've worked on is I've put him in the right positions that work for him. That's a big thing. So because he's a rugby player, there is not a rugby player that's not got a tight upper back. And also because he's a hooker, he's had his neck compressed for 60 years. We put him in a front squat because it's going to be less, it's going to be a less, it's going to protect his spine. It's a less loading of his back. It's more loading of his anterior core. So we use that. And also if we are going to lift heavy, we make sure that he's in a safer position. So I know that when he's got tight hip flexors, me pulling him off the floor, it's sink or swim. Some days he could, some days he couldn't. Rather than elevating his deadlift to a rack pull, for example, so he can still get the strength gains and all that kind of stuff. But we've just put it into a position that, is, like you said, is gonna add to his day. Rather than me, I know full well if I told him to lift it, this dude would grip it with his teeth. But I don't need him to do that. All I needed to do is be able to go back to the office later and not walk like a paraplegic. So, yeah, we've used that. And also, I think as people get older, I'm a big believer in kettlebells. I think skill-related kettlebells is teaching someone how to kettlebell snatch properly and to actually use those. Amazing tool.
100%.
So much less load through the system.
As you get older, bro, Yeah, bro. As you get older, it should be a little bit more about that novelty, right? What am I learning, man? What am I learning from this? It's a new skill because, learning a new skill and moving in different planes of movement, in different movement patterns that you might not have used before, like, fuck, man, you can still get a really good, solid workout from that and still be a little bit sore from that the next day and be like, all right, fuck, I didn't do that much work. I didn't do that much volume. I didn't lift that heavy, but fuck, man, like, I'm feeling this. Like, when was the last time you did jiu-jitsu, bro? Like, if you don't roll for a while, like, I didn't roll for like 6 months, man, and then I went light, bro, and the next day I was just like, ugh.
Stuck together, yeah. Everything. Yeah, I went on Monday and I'm walking my hands, I can't grab anything properly. Yeah, minging.
Yes.
It is, yeah. It's definitely that, man. And I mean, me personally, the first lockdown in Singapore, and we were doing kettlebell workouts. I use the kettlebell, but I used it minimally in relation to force development mainly, or stability. Using them for a full workout, I actually really enjoyed it because it was so refreshing not having to just, there wasn't anywhere near as much rest, there's way more volume. And as I said, learning a skill and make my heart rate, I couldn't get my heart rate down for the first 3 weeks. Like, my body was going, what the fuck are you doing? I'm swinging a 24 around my living room. It's hilarious. But point being, like you said, the exploratory phase of training should not just be stuck into one domain, and using that as a tool as well to fill days, like you said about undulating intensity, using a barbell on a heavy day, using a kettlebell on a medium day, using a light aerobic circuit or light jog or bike or whatever on a light day. We use that because of those reasons, to let that CNS recover. But more so, just to give, it's a nice bit of variety, still achieving the same things we're trying to achieve, rather than it becoming like, it's just bodybuilding. That's it. We're using a barbell, and that's all you can use. That's just horse shit. Like, especially as you get older, the reward benefits.
Dude, something just popped up for me as well. Is like, I fucking love Turkish get-ups. Like, if you've got a guy like that, bro, obviously might be a little bit locked up in the shoulders and thoracic spine and things like that. But then, that's an assessment tool. I use a Turkish get-up as an assessment with my fighters, right? Like, if they can't go through a Turkish get-up and keep their shoulder stable through those 6 different joint angles that their shoulder will go through in a Turkish get-up, then, that's telling me something. That's a diagnostic tool, right? What's not moving? Yeah. The scapula's not moving very well. All right, what muscles are probably locked up that I need to maybe start doing a little bit of mobilization work on? I need to do a little bit of soft tissue work on. All right, why is that locked up? Okay, maybe there's some weakness somewhere. All right, let's identify where that is and let's start doing some structural integrity work, man. So there's many, many different ways to skin the cat, but that's something that I would look at. I'd get him doing some like strongman style training as well.
Yeah.
To still focus on that strength, like maybe do some fucking heavy sled drags, some heavy sled pushes and some lateral sled drives and Turkish get-ups and like suitcase carries and offset carries and things like that, man. I think that would be probably really good for this dude. Different stimulus, but he's still working strength, different planes, different movements.
100%, man. Like, my go-to piece of equipment in the gym will be a sled. Just because it's low point to entry, the reward benefits there. You're not going to cause anywhere near as much damage in relation to DOMs. So you could give it to Karen, the mum with 3 who'd never done the gym before, or you can give it to a professional fighter with triple bodyweight on it. And also you can do so much with it in relation to principles of training. I use that hugely. I just think with this particular fella, like, it also tickles the like you said, if you're trying to chase, a lot of people who've trained all their life, they always resonate with the weight that they're using. If you're telling them to do a single leg RDL with a 20 kilo kettlebell and they're flopping all over the floor like a weapon, you put them onto a sled and you give them 200 kilos. It gives them that. It gives you my coaching, like strength and power endurance, whatever. More for them from a client adherence standpoint and actually enjoying their training. It's progressive. They know how much they're pushing more, but they're also getting the other benefits all in one with regards to strength and cardiovascular fitness. I think, definitely, man. I think we're definitely singing off the same hymn sheet, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Cool, man. Is there any other questions that you want to cover? We've just hit an hour. We'll keep it fairly quick if you do have any other ones. The only other one, I mean, if you want to go down the nutrition rabbit hole again, is should I pull carbohydrate out of my diet, obviously through January? That's the one that is you'll probably hear on everywhere, I'd assume.
Sorry, you cut out for a second there, mate. Can you repeat that?
Sorry, bro. I was saying one last question I have got is a nutritional question, but I know you've covered a few of these in your podcast before. Is purely I've got the standard stereotype. Should I be pulling carbohydrates out in January? Because I feel basically the context is it's now we finished Christmas and I now feel horrendous. I'm just going to pull carbohydrate and do loads more exercise. I think we could go down that route a little bit because I think a lot of our listeners will be double-ending themselves rather than being objective about their position. In layman's terms.
Yeah. I mean, carbohydrates is a very broad term. Like, if you're pulling carbohydrates, that means you're also pulling rice, you're pulling potatoes, you're pulling fruits and vegetables, which are, providing you with many, many, many micronutrients, vitamins, minerals, phytonutrients that your body requires. So, I mean, that's a super fucking loaded question. If I was to answer that, I kind of want to give people an answer that they want to hear, but I'm also going to put my own spin on it. Yes, pull carbohydrates that are processed. Anything that you fucking pick up and you read the nutrition label and you don't understand what it says and it's carbohydrate, pull that. Actually, do that with all fucking foods. Anything that's packaged and processed, start pulling that shit out. If you pick up an apple, what does it say on the ingredients list? It doesn't have a fucking ingredients list. It's an apple, right? Yeah. So if it doesn't have an ingredients list and doesn't have a barcode and it's a carbohydrate, you can eat it. If it's carbohydrate 100%. Or a fat or a protein and it's packaged and the ingredients list has fucking 20 different things on there and 18 of those you can't pronounce or you don't know what it is, don't eat it.
100%.
Do that for a month and see what happens. You're going to reduce inflammation. You're going to be feeling better. Your energy levels are going to be better. You're going to be sleeping better. Your productivity is going to be better. You're going to be moving better. You're going to recover better from your training sessions. Your performance is going to be better. Digestion is going to be better. Your fucking bloating and gassiness and shit is going to be down. I mean, that's a pretty simple answer, right?
It's literally eat like a human. That's something that we've been banging on about. Is this? We use a human-based approach, just like what you said. Everyone wants this magic tool of shall I pull carbohydrates? My first thing's what do you deem as carbohydrate? Most people who are coming off the back of Christmas and January, New Year, they just feel sorry for themselves because what they've done is they've overeaten on processed shit, drank too much piss. And they're associating carbohydrate as a broad term, rather just like what you said, is just get back to basics, get back to eating cleaner foods. That doesn't mean it has to be like rubbed by a nun or something. Cleaner food means that it's a case of it's come out of the floor. It's not man-made. It's a case of it's natural in relation to, you said, the ingredients list, and using that and a little bit of time and patience, and lo and behold, you get back to baseline. That's literally what it is, and that's what the guys that I've onboarded, or the guys for January who've come to me with this oh God, I've overdone it. It's a case of just get back to eating normally like we were before, and just give it 2 weeks. Lo and behold, we're back to my starting 100%. Weight again. I feel better. I'm clear. I can actually train properly because I'm not eating like a twat all the time, and suddenly,
and I'm not inflamed.
Yeah, exactly that. And I haven't. What you've done is, most people have done is they've abused themselves a little bit in relation because it's Christmas. It gives me the right to do this to myself, and I'm going to eat choc quality streets for breakfast. All right, brilliant, cool. It's one day. Worry about the rest of your year rather than just this one small glimpse of a period in which that you've eaten like a weapon. If your nutrition plan is not letting you do that, you've got a problem.
And don't overcorrect. If you're listening to this and you have gone through that period where you have overconsumed, had a 2-week holiday and you didn't train and you slept in and you weren't dialed in with your nutrition, you were pretty loose with that, then don't overcorrect and go, right, I'm going to fucking cut everything out right now. It's like, right, what's the one thing that I can do right now? All right, let's start removing these highly processed foods. That's it. Give it a couple of weeks and you'll start feeling better already. And that's it. And then you start making adjustments. All right. Then when you're eating those, foods that have swum, walked, flown, or fucking grown in the earth, then you can start identifying any foods that are creating gassiness and bloating and indigestion, shit like that. And you go, oh, maybe I've got an intolerance to that. Maybe that's causing some digestive stress. what is that thing that I'm eating? What meal I'm feeling that after this particular meal? All right, what am I having in that meal? And then you can start looking at potential triggers and go, all right, let's start removing that. Let's run like a soft elimination diet.
Yeah.
And then, that'll guide you in the right direction. So then you can start tweaking and adjusting your diet specific for you. We should always be looking at these general fucking principles as a whole. Once we've got these general principles down pat and dialed in, then we start looking at the specifics. But people try and go the other way, and they're like, "Oh, I'm looking straight at the specifics. All right, carbohydrates are the demon. I'm just going to fucking get rid of them." And it's like, no, man. Like, go back to the basics, get that stuff right, do that consistently for a couple of weeks, see what happens, then make it specific to you. Then start making little adjustments, not just removing a whole fucking macronutrient.
100%, man. People have got it. We always keep rotating, in which is the part of our industry which wrongfully keeps it going round, is this self-gratification of if I find this one bit of information and I apply it, I can then keep doing the problem. Like you said, example you were saying about inflammation. You could take curcumin, for example, for inflammation, but if you're eating a load of processed food and eating like a dickhead, it's not doing anything. So start the other way around. People have to learn to immerse themselves. Exactly. Rather than jumping on the bandwagon, is actually taking responsibility of... It's just like training. One training session will do nothing. If you commit to 3 training sessions for the next 52 weeks of this year, lo and behold, you'll see so much more progress than this 8-week smash, and then suddenly you're just back to square one. 100%.
Yeah. We could continue this conversation, but I think that's a good place to call it.
Yeah, that was about to go deep, boss. We don't want to go there, I don't think.
I know it's almost 9:00, mate. It's almost my bedtime. It's almost time for me to start winding down. But mate, as always, bro, great conversation. What have we've been talking since 7:00, so an hour and 46 minutes we've been going for. So
it's always a pleasure. It always happens every time, bruv.
Yeah, I know. I like it though. That's why I'm like, hey,
absolutely, man. That's wicked. Too right. I cleared my diary already, mate. I was like, this afternoon I got no work.
I appreciate it, brother. But mate, I'll have all of your links in the show notes. If there's anything that I don't have from you, can you send that through to me, please? This episode will be live. What day are we now? We're looking at probably the 31st of this month. So it'll probably go live on that day. But I'll let you know, and I'll send through any links. Any of the social media and YouTube stuff I'll send through to you as well. But Will, been an absolute pleasure, mate. Let's do this again soon.
Likewise, man. Thank you very much for having me. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure talking shop, my man. Legend.
Love it. Cheers, mate. Chat soon. See ya. This episode was brought to you by Swiss 8, which is a proactive mental health program designed by veterans, initially for veterans, that has been pushed out to the wider community, that allows you to structure in and schedule their 8 pillars of health and wellness, including nutrition, sleep, time management, discipline, fitness, personal growth, mindfulness, and minimalism. This episode was also brought to you by Be Spunky, which is a male hormone optimization supplement that I've been taking for about a year and a half, and I absolutely rate. It is a TGA listed nutraceutical, meaning that it's made from all organic produce to help you manage and optimize your stress levels, which in turn increases your ability to improve testosterone production levels naturally. Use the code COBES10 at checkout for your 10% discount. All of those links will be in the show notes. If you got some benefit from this episode, please make sure you pass it off to your friends and family. I'd appreciate any shares on social media platforms. If you tag me or if you share it to your stories, make sure you tag me so I can share that as well. Any 5-star ratings and reviews are much appreciated. Much love, guys. Peace.